Cracking up? Yeah. It's a lifetime of...
No, you know... Yeah.
We actually tried growing things. There was certain things that grow here very well. The Filipinos grow here exceptionally. We did, but they trap animals. It's not, we have to have a bunch.
Chorna was like a small city, not a shtetl. And when my grandmother died, and they already had 2 children, Hindi and his sons to 120, they decided to move up to Budapest with my uncle Kula and to start a business. So they were advised that you want to bring up from children, don't go to Budapest, go to Újpest.
The suburb.
It wasn't suburby, it was like a small city. Today it's incorporated into Budapest already. Mm-hmm. So when my father bought probably a big house, and he probably built, added onto it for the factory.
I think it was the factory and he built the apartment on top.
I'm not sure, but it looked like he bought a big house, and we lived upstairs, and it seems like there was added to it, was a huge yard, and added to it, which was a big factory downstairs. So, but we lived mostly among Gayam. We have very, very few from people.
Can I add something here? Terush Neni had 2 girls.
Terush Neni was Anyu sister.
And I think the Poperov said, you want to have sons, you can't be in a village where there's no yeshiva, no school. So that's when they decided to move up to
And Anyu not also had 2 daughters first.
Yes, that's right. But Frigyes Bácsi was concerned, when is he going to have a son? So he asked the Shaila. That's what I was told.
It's very interesting, this Beis Olam in Farad, which is a few miles away from Chorna.
Yeah.
It's a Beis Olam, not a huge Beis Olam, and during the war a lot of it was destroyed. One corner, like 1/4 of it, remained. And I'd say from that 1/4, probably 90% of the quorum are relatives of ours, including the first Gestetner.
Who's the first Gestetner?
Reb Leib Gestetner.
Whose was a son-in-law by the Ponem Meirais.
Oh, yeah?
Ponem Meirais. Check it out.
What's the Gestetner, the name? Do you know?
No, we don't know. And it came from Ausch. The original Gestetners were called Ausch. Ausch.
So
I didn't know that.
It
was. And actually, there's no other Gestetners. And once, there's one Galach that they found, his name is Gestetner.
Yeah, Eli Reichman once met. Eli Reichman was once in an airport and he heard announced Mr. Gestetner, so he went to see who it was, and it was this Galach.
Somebody asked, how cousins first? I said, by Gestetners, no one's removed. Yeah. We're cousins. How many times removed? We're not removed. We accept, but we do not remove.
There were 2 schools. I mean, Hamburg was a community. I don't think that in our town was more than 100 from families.
And the Anyu's family, the Solomons, or how would they...
Similar.
Same type of family.
Similar, yeah, very similar.
Did they
background.
come from similar towns, or did they cross paths?
No, Chorna and Guta were it's about an hour's drive from one to the other.
Something like, not terrible.
An hour's drive today's cars. 2 hours drive with the car that we drive today.
Yeah.
In those days, it probably by horse and carriage took many more, much longer.
Yeah.
In Oberland, Yiddish was, the men knew Yiddish, it was more Germanic Yiddish.
Right.
Completely. No, my mother didn't speak it. Women generally did not speak it. Yeah. If anything, if a second language for a woman would be Deutsch, German.
Oh yeah? In Hungary?
German,
The second
yeah,
language.
German.
Would be German.
Interesting.
And the Yiddish was more Germanic.
So you learned Yiddish in Canada probably? When
Yeah,
You know
after I
what
got
we-
married.
You know when we learned Yiddish? I'll tell you. When Hindi got married, Lipi Olofshon was from Unterland. He came from Satmar. He was born in Satmar. He came from a very Hasidic Satmar family. Satmar, yeah, a town, yeah. He was
And
born,
Satmar.
bred and buttered, yeah. And then he went through camps, whatever. And when he married into the family, he says, wieso kommt es am Yiddish Mishpuche gar nicht Yiddish reden? He couldn't, and he started speaking Yiddish to us.
Me?
He started speaking Yiddish in the family.
And also one thing, you know, there was Unterland and Oberland, you know that?
Sure.
Yeah. They didn't mix.
One was,
Yeah,
Well,
there was very, very big divide.
yeah. It was a
And
cultural,
a cultural divide.
socioeconomic or...
Yeah.
So
And whoever to marry before the war, Oberlander, Interlander, they if it did, but after the war, it already was a different story.
Yeah.
Terush Nene, on your sister, she liked to say her, you know, on her mind, whatever, opinion. She said, when she started this mixed intermarrying, this is also Hitler's doing.
What about school? Was there any school for
We had a small Jewish school,
like a cheder, like
a school, just, it was, how do you say it? Boys and girls, how do you say it?
what's a co-ed? Co-ed.
Co-ed. It was an Orthodox school,
but maybe because of not enough kids.
but no, because it was a state school. It was a Jewish school, it was a state school. And everything we had to learn, whatever, not because of Rishon, because that was the rule.
Right.
Everything. Twice a week or whatever, it was Hebrew. That's why we learned to daven, and
From teachers.
yeah, sure.
Right.
It was in Hungary and in Europe also in general, it was only 6 elementary, not 8 like here.
Yeah.
Now, was that
6 grades.
But do you think that was like a modern phenomenon that your parents are sending the girls to school? Like, was that a new thing, or like Anu probably, I guess, didn't go to school?
No.
Anu did go to school.
Did she go to school?
Sure,
Okay, interesting.
they all went to school.
Yeah. I once went with Anu, the first time I went to Hungary with Anu, Olea Sholem, and we arrived to the town where she was born. We arrived at night, and we stayed in a hotel, and we went for a walk at night. We ate something, we went for a walk at night, and she showed me, this is where I went to school, and this is where our bes medrash is, and this was where the Rov lived. It was...
So she brought you back
yeah,
to her?
yeah. Because we went to go to her mother's grandparents. Her mother and her grandparents are buried there, and she went.
So
We
your
went to
mother
be.
passed away youngish.
Yeah, about when you were born. Where not your mama.
When I was a baby.
Yeah, when you were a baby.
Must have been in her 40s or something.
No, 6 years, no. She was 62.
60. You know, 62 in those days was considered very old.
Right.
And the grandfather went to Auschwitz Nebuch years later.
Oh,
They
yeah.
didn't
And
marry.
her husband went to Auschwitz.
Yeah,
Yeah,
as real.
yeah.
As
That
real.
was the only grandparents we knew.
Wow.
Others are. My Gestetner grandfather passed away, I think, right after my parents got married. Grandmother Gestetner passed away when also I was a baby. Also, the 2 grandmothers passed away, and I think the same year.
So
same
Baba
year.
is named after the grandmother, my mother's mother, was called Malka. And Zsuzsa Zajgesund was named after my grandmother, my father's mother, called Sorol. She's not Sorah, Sorol, Sin Resh Lamed, and it stands for Sorah Rivka Rochalea.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now let me go back to my school.
Yeah, okay, I'm just saying.
It was a 2-room school. The whole school was from 2 rooms. Huh?
The school you went to.
Yeah.
Who else went there from the family? Hindi, I'm guessing.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And Shami?
What?
Shami
Yeah,
went there.
All.
So everyone went there.
Oh, yeah. In the first room, and 2 teachers. for the 2 room and 2 teachers. And the first room was 1, 2, 3.
Grade 1, 2, and 3.
Grades. The others was 4, 5, 6. Girls were sitting in one row, the boys were sitting in the other row. And the teacher for the first 3 grades was also a principal.
It's called multitasking.
Principal. And the other room, the teacher, the 4, 5, 6, also was for all the children. And his mother, embroidery was a very important thing for the girls.
So they taught.
The teacher taught. It was just like math or whatever, you just had to do, yeah. The embroidery teacher was in the second teacher's mother. So it was
Family business.
family business. When I describe my father, I describe like this. Take all of us together, all the siblings, and take out the best from everybody and put together. That was my father.
Was he?
Because
Did
he was good looking of at that time with good. A tremendous Hiroshima, yeah. A Balceduke, good businessman. He was charming also. He was able to talk to a child, to 11, was able to talk to a rebel or a prince. Right?
He had
They
a
don't
good,
have
yeah.
Fantastic group.
yeah.
Yeah. Did he? Was his parents? Who was alive as a? Which grandparents were alive in your?
She said,
No.
only my
Only
mother's mother.
No.
Only one.
Oh,
They were
was
present
able-
in your lives as a
My
child.
mother, and the father.
And the grandfather was an
Yeah,
actress.
yeah.
As real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was present in your childhood. He was around.
Yes,
you.
yes.
But not on a daily basis, because he lived in
No, of
Guta and we
course
lived
not.
in.
Oh, he lived in another town.
Yeah.
But he came in for simchas or for.
Yeah, but I spent the summer by him.
Oh, you did?
Once, yeah. We used to go to the country.
What was he like? What was he like?
You remember Mishu?
Yeah.
Anyu and Mishu, he was more like a very friendly, very respectful, very honest, very.
Sense of humor?
Is it-
Did he have a sense of humor?
I don't remember.
When you were a kid.
Apu had an excellent sense of humor
Yeah.
also, yeah.
Anu had a sense of humor.
Yeah.
He was very serious. Apu took things very seriously, but when also the jokes also was due to jokes.
Right. And his brother was similar to him as well?
He was,
no,
I think, more, from what I understand, I didn't know him, he was more serious and a big learner. He was very, very into
Oh, yeah, he
learning.
was,
he was more
Did he go
sat
to
on.
yeshiva, your father? Did he go to
Sure, to Pupa.
He went to Pupa, that's where he lived.
Yeah, Pupa.
So he did
They didn't go so long like here,
Right.
you know.
You know, even when I got married,
It's a new phenomenon.
and Liz went to yeshiva, was already learning a trade when we got married.
Yeah.
Right.
Nobody at that age. Somebody would have told me when I was offered a shidduch, this boy is still in yeshiva. I said, like, what do you want from me? Well, what have I got to do with that? And it was completely different. Liz says, I was born too early. I would have loved to go to Koilo.
Yeah.
It's workshop in Koilo now
Yeah.
Wow.
instead.
So this was life pre-war.
Until the Germans came in,
It
and
was business as usual.
more or less same as
With
before.
refugees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it started when it started, the war, 39, 38, 39. And they started killing the Yidden in Poland and then taking them to camps. Whoever could, they sneaked over to Hungary. Hungary was the safest place. Even in Hungary, you're dreaming that is never, a Hungarian, that is not going to happen by us.
Right.
Like even now, you know, you hope, I'm scared, but you hope it's not going to happen.
No, I think American things, I still think nothing will ever happen here.
And maybe they got a little wake up.
I'm saying, but
not to that extent,
that sort of
Got it.
feeling.
And whomever Apu could, they didn't have where to go, these people. He was hiding them in his factory. They came in at night, you know, they sneaked in, slept over, and in the morning
So you remember your house bustling with refugees.
But comings and going.
And your
Always
mother was cooking
coming, always comings and going.
And making chasanas and chuppahs in the yard.
That was after the war.
It was after the
chasanas
war,
were
I see.
after the war.
Okay.
After the war.
Do you remember like the anxiety of the time, like as a kid? Do you remember feeling the?
As a child, I was 11. You know,
Right.
We are home, right? Until you are home, it's the anxiety was when they started in '42. They started bombing. When they were there.
When they started invading Hungary. that's
Yeah,
when-
yeah. That was really that was really scary. But otherwise, you know, as a child, but that was also very bad when the Germans came, and then suddenly saw that we are hoping and hoping, you know, and then one day the Germans came in.
Do you remember the day when you started seeing?
It's vaguely, but
Is it-
it
is it
was
blurred?
it was like it was like black cloud.
A black
over-
cloud
over-
coming over.
Even the Goyim got scared. You know, not different country, invading them their country. Of course, it's got. But after wake up, it was a very good opportunity for them to kill the Yidden, and they became a very eager helpers. You know the name. They became even worse than the Germans. You know. Heard when the Germans were emptying out houses to taking them, to the camps, and the Germans said, "Okay, let's go." I said, "No, let's look here."
So you remember I know we know the story from my grandmother's book,
Yeah.
but you were all divided up, right? Where did the other siblings
but-
go? Where did
but-
they?
So it was. The Germans came in. Every day they came out with new rules. They took away. Everybody had to give in the money, and of course the businesses they closed already '42. But my father was always able
You
to
tell them.
put into he working for the army. But the factory was going till the day until we were taken away.
Really?
Yeah, totally.
So he was working all the way.
They were working all through but the army or whatever.
So he managed to.
Yeah. So the Germans were in, and they had to give them money, and the jewelry, of course, not all of them, of course. The coffee in the car. You had to wear a yellow star. That was terrible.
Do you remember that? Do you remember?
Clearly.
So Anya was selling it all.
When we had to go out with a yellow star, we felt horrible. Huh? And the Goyim, they were nice to us. We lived in a decent neighborhood, so they weren't so rough, the neighbors, and the face, they were nice, but they left us alone. But when a yellow star, let them was openly, little kids. But we are still home. There was restriction, only certain times we were able to go out on the street also. And as I said, we're still home. And one June morning, nobody ever heard of camps. And if they heard, they thought, okay, so it's not even true. It can be exaggerating. One June morning, beautiful morning, we were home. Appu was still in shul. And 2 armed policemen came up to our house and told Anu, we give you 10 minutes and everybody has to go downstairs. Anu is standing there with him. This, and this part?
Yeah.
And trying to pack something in 10 minutes for 8 children. 8 children. It just didn't know it's this. They marched us downstairs. In front of our house was a large prison truck. A big crowd gathered, of course, we see the sensation. And they started marching us in to the prison truck. P.S. Anya was expecting also a baby.
Ziggy.
At that time when we were started going to prison truck, my father Appu was coming home from shul and saw the crowd in front of our house and came closer and saw that his wife and 8 children are herded into the police truck. Appu was always afraid of everything. This is dangerous, that is dangerous. Just don't
He
go
was
here,
brave
don't
but
go
fearful.
Yeah. What does a father does then when he sees his family is being taken away? Of course, you run there. No, Hashem gave him that thought, was thinking, oh, if I'm going to go with them, I won't be able to help them. And that saved his life and our life, because he was able to take care of us all through the Holocaust.
From
So-
not
so-
being taken away.
So he sneaked away. He left us there.
Did anybody see him?
But,
Did anybody see him?
probably not.
Right. No, I mean, like, did Anu see him?
Well, no, we didn't.
No, you didn't know this till after. Yeah.
No. And he sneaked away and got himself Goyish papers and Goyish clothing and started working behind the scene. And they took us to Budapest to a prison. They locked us, locked up Anu right away, and we're standing there in the corner in the hallway. Baby screaming, and we are trying not to cry. Suddenly, the supervisor from the prison comes out and says, "What's this Jewish dirty brats are doing here? We were not going to babysit them. Out!" And they threw us out on the street.
Without Anu.
Anu was locked up.
Right.
Somehow somebody find us.
Who was the oldest amongst the
Hindi.
Indians?
I was the second.
Right, so she was
And
12, 13.
What?
How old was Hindi?
Hindi was 13. I was 11 and something.
So she was holding the baby? Or?
Yeah. And Mickey was the baby, 10 months old. 10 months old.
Wow.
The baby. So they took us to a orphanage.
Some Jewish.
Yes, somehow they took us there. We were there for a while, and Apu started to find out through connections where we are. And he met a guy, a tzaddik of a person, who was helping us all through the Holocaust with everything. He got the places for the children, little children, to place them by farmers, out from all the way out, farmers for money, of course, not because they were so good, because they were simple people, got some money for it, so it's okay, they kept the babies and the little children. And us, since it was in Budapest, we had an uncle there. We went to that uncle because they were also still home. But then, after things started changing rapidly, and this was also Hashgacha protest that they took us away, because in these few days they emptied out the whole Hungary. They took them to the camps. The last one, also our town, we would be there, we would be taken away. Mm-hmm. But since we were in Budapest, because Budapest, they left for the last. They didn't take them to camps. So the Budapest, for some reason, they left that for later, for camps. No, this is a big, probably not because they wanted to be nice to the Budapest people. And then when they wanted to deport them already, the war was so intense that they couldn't do it. But they made a ghetto. They crammed in all the Eden.
So you were within this?
Yeah, no.
Anu?
Anu was in prison. Anu was in prison. No matter how Apu tried and bribed and whatever, just couldn't get her out.
And she was being held by the Hungarians?
What?
She was being held by the Hungarians, not
in
by
Budapest, yeah. That was a big muzzle, being in prison and not to be in camps, that was also...
And you were in
Luxury.
Yeah.
I mean, she must have
So
felt a
then
little bit,
they took all emptied out the whole Hungary from the towns. In Budapest, they made called yellow star houses. They pointed a few apartment buildings, put a big yellow star on it, and then crammed in as much Yidden as they could. We stayed, where we stayed by my uncle, also through connection. Connection also he had a heart condition, so his apartment wasn't, crammed in with him. But we were there for a while, and Apu was, I don't know. And then later on, that was also a rumor that the Yellow Star house is not even safe because the Goyim want to attack it and they kill everybody. So my father, with a few friends, 24 people altogether. I don't know, 18 grown up and 6. They rented a store smack in middle of Budapest.
In one of the
I would
fanciest
say
streets in
Madison,
Budapest.
like Madison, a store, which was a basement underneath. Upstairs in the store, 2 Jewish guys from dressed up as goyim, tending the store was a textile store, and we went down to the basement, sit down to the basement. 24 people, six children, whatever, and grown-ups. The basement, middle of the city. People did that time, didn't have to make sense, you know. You just did whatever you could. That was the only place where we could do that. We went to the basement. With one change of clothing. The 2 guys who were tending the store, they bought us everyday food as they were coming.
This is where you were during the war.
Yeah.
But not my grandmother was in the farm, right?
Yeah, no, what?
You were separated.
No,
at the
yeah, he
same
was
time?
in the farm, yeah.
This was later, this was the same time.
As for my family children, Hindi, myself, and Shami. Shami, we were there from our family. And then it was from Chitvillage, other family, also a Hindi, and Babu, and 2 Shamis,
This is Kalev's kids?
Yeah, 2, and also a Bozi, who was just sniffed there not long ago. So they bought us food. We didn't have any books or toys either, you know.
So you were sitting in this basement for how long was it?
A good few weeks. Nothing
And there
there.
were 2 Jews dressed up as goyim that were
Yeah.
keeping the
And
So
those,
you were hiding in plain sight. You were in-
Us kids, mostly we took care of ourselves because the grown-ups, they were so busy worrying and always just talking what's going to be and what's going to be what, how we going to survive, how what's going to be. So really, mamash, we took care of each other.
And did you see your father or mother throughout this period?
Apu was with us.
Abu was with you.
Our Anu was in prison.
So she was there in prison for a
In
while.
prison.
For a while.
Yeah. She was till October.
So it was. What are the chances of her not being deported from prison?
But it was a big difference.
It was a nest that she was not deported from prison.
But it was a prison. But the camps were.
Yeah, but the Germans didn't schlep.
Not that time yet. Some of it's true. Some
They
of
had
them.
bigger jobs to do.
Yeah.
They were
But I
like
imagine it would be easy.
easy targets.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm thinking is that most likely they took your family
Yeah.
from orders from the Germans.
Yeah.
And so the Hungarians took your family, put them in their own prisons, and then the Germans were probably going to pull them from there. So I mean, the fact that she wasn't taken out.
Whatever they didn't do because they were busy doing
Right.
something
Just
else.
by a nest.
Absolutely. So as nowadays, they advertise all over. When you see something, say something, right? No, they didn't have to do it at that time because the Goyim lived for that. Who is suspicious? Whom they can announce? Who can get their reports? Who is a Jew, maybe? So that 2 Jews, the 2 guys, working upstairs, somebody noticed that he coming every single day with some bags. So they reported. And one day we heard the big bangs with their guns banging on the door. They find us. And the Nazis. Like we ladies and children were trying to hold the door against the Nazis.
Oh, you were
right?
actually trying to hold them up.
Yeah. And luckily there was an escape door, and up again, escaped with some men. And they dragged us through the whole
And
city.
they took the kids.
But with the kids.
Wait, you went with Apu or you went with...
No, we went there. Apu escaped with another man.
You figured he would try to separate so you'd be able to...
Yeah. That he knows already. That
Right.
that's our own his chance and our chance.
So where did they take you after that?
To the Gestapo, there was just like here in Manhattan. Other side of Manhattan is Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
There was the mountains there, and that's where the headquarters of the Germans were. They took us there, locked us in, but for a few days.
Do they handle you roughly, or they just?
No, just locked us in. Just give a little water and a bread.
Do you ever remember any interactions with these
No.
soldiers when you were there?
No.
So it was just they had orders, they pulled the kids in the truck, and you were.
Yeah.
So where did they take you to with the truck?
To the locked us in Schwabhead, in Schwabhead.
What was that, a prison? What was
Had-
that?
No. It's a makeshift prison.
So they built
Yes,
it out for.
Yeah.
And from there, they
It's like a hill. It's a hedge, it's a mountain.
It was
In the-
some
yeah,
just
up in the
there.
mountain.
I'm assuming that they were gonna take you from there to the.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Whomever took there to that place, very few people came out there from alive, and somehow to find some bribes, and they let us
So
out.
your father again.
Yeah,
From the outside.
Again.
Wow.
But are you kidding?
And this entire time unused in
Yes,
prison.
still, yeah.
I mean, that's the
And-
whole thing is unless one
Absolutely.
minute to the next. Like,
after-
Everyone who's here today who lived through the Holocaust, it's
isn't
all
that-
listen.
But these are you
There's
hear like
a
the.
private, each
Yeah.
one is a privateness.
And after we were floating from one place
Did
to
they
another.
feed you in the German holding wherever the camp
Yeah.
in the Gestapo headquarters?
No.
They
Yeah.
fed you there,
Yeah. A little bread and water.
but it wasn't. They weren't trying to starve you or. Like,
Well, no.
So and anybody had an idea of like the severity of what was happening? Do you remember anything like that?
We were just
Kids going along.
we were just like them. You don't know what to think of.
Right. Well, like
When
you-
is this going to end? What are you going to think?
You're probably thinking, where are my parents when I
Well,
send you?
yeah.
And when you came there were a lot of other Jewish adults, men, kids.
We are separated, so we didn't know.
You didn't know. You were
Yeah,
alone in a
yeah,
cell or something. And how long were you there for?
Not too long. I don't remember. Not too
Now,
long.
while your family was somehow saved by either hidden or
Yeah.
you had cousins, uncles. What happened to them?
Some. So we met some. When it's still, when we were again back in Budapest, at certain times we were able to walk on the street. We knew about a little bit of each other, not much, because there were no telephones and.
So you didn't really know what was happening beyond your own story. But afterwards, you found out. I mean, there were plenty
Yeah,
of
there are plenty of people never
family members that
who are not here anymore.
We had no idea what's going on. Nobody. Something but I left out,
Yeah.
which is also important. As I said in the beginning, that Apu met this guy, this Hungarian guy who was helping us, him, with all through the finding place for the children and getting us bread.
Through this entire process, this contact.
Yeah, so it was.
Business associates.
What was his, that's
no,
Mr.
no,
Schober?
it was just.
What was his name?
Schobel.
Mr. Schober.
Schobel. And he sent me, sometimes we met him or sent me also some messages or got us bread or different kind of things. And one day, it was after Kratzmach, we're still in the Wallenberg house, he sent me there, my father, something. We didn't know that a few days before, because he belonged, this guy, to a whole group of this against Nazis, resistance, yeah. They were all discovered that they were killed.
Mr. Schober.
And
They
his
were
own-
discovered and killed.
Again. And I went there.
Towards the
Teresa,
end of the war.
so
And
Apu sent her to
after
get
this-
something from
To
him.
get, yeah. I went there, like many times before. I go in, and
With a yellow star?
no.
Incognito,
Yeah.
undercover.
Yeah. I don't see them. Strange people there. Huh? Ask me, Whom are you looking for? Huh? Who sent you? Huh? I didn't know what to say. What's your name? Huh? A 12-year-old. What can that? Was on the verge of saying something. I didn't know what. And then was standing by the door, and a Nazi opened the door and came in, and they got very excited, you know. And they're greeting, they're greeting. They pick up the hand, and under his arm, I sneaked out and went home.
So you knew you were in some sort of danger.
Of course, she didn't. She knew she was in a lot of danger.
One second.
But Hashem sent this guy.
I say
so when
my
they
name.
pick up Heil Hitler, she's
like,
snuck out.
Unbelievable.
Who sent me? They would kill me, then my whole family. I said, and that the Nazi doesn't even know that he saved my life. This Russia, the Nazi saved my life.
Variants in the house.
What?
The
Yeah.
collaborators.
And sometimes, now listen to this, sometimes after, I thought many times, that maybe I'm dreaming this. Maybe this didn't happen, but... So we were in Hungary with your grandmother 3 years ago.
All good. They're getting their cars down.
3 years ago we were there. I said, Tuki, I want to find that house. I didn't know what street. I know where about which area is that, but I didn't know which is the name of the street. I said, Tuki, I want to go there. We went there. It was like a big square. I said, let's go there to that house. We went to there, and I looked once, another house. Somebody opened the door, and we saw that there's a plaque there from the Schobel. This is where Schobel, his wife, and 24 other people was killed, 1944, a Kratzmach night.
Wow. Now, what was the story? My grandmother told me the story of cousin maybe or a friend that jumped in the dam view while she was being shot at and survived from her coat.
No,
already, later on already.
Well, who was it? She saw they were shooting people.
No.
So
They took them to, there was a Danube River.
Yeah.
You ever heard of the shoes?
Sure.
Shoes.
Yeah. That's where.
Danube, they took them there, and they just shoot them and threw them in. And she jumped in, and she was swimming.
And what was this, a cousin or a friend?
Who was it? I just recently heard who it was, and I can't
know.
remember.
Was a relative.
A relative.
Yeah.
A relative.
Swam under, and then she swam
Across.
At the side, and
The
came
same
out.
side,
Yeah.
like Chris Yamsov, they went on the same side.
They made them take off their shoes and they shot them in. The Danube River was red from blood.
Wait, so you were in this cell, and then eventually your father gets you out?
Yeah, he got you out. And then he was placing us. As I said, he was taking care of us the whole through the Holocaust, behind
He
the
pulled you
scenes.
into another...
So we were here, we
Another
were
AIDS
here, and there,
What was
we
the
were
next AIDS
a
after
Red
that?
Cross home we were, and we were here, all kind of
And this
places.
is a week here, a few days
Yeah,
there.
absolutely.
So you
Then,
moved around a lot.
what?
You moved around a lot.
Yeah. As much as I had to.
And then my
And-
grandmother was in there until her cousin
Yeah.
ratted me out to
But by the end, we were together with her, by the end.
Where that was in the homes of the
Yeah. Then after,
Wasn't that in the Wallenberg
the
homes?
Wallenberg.
no, wasn't home, a house.
They
In
called it the glass
October-
house.
In
Glass houses.
October, the Hungarian president or resigned or threw him down, I still don't know. And there was 2 days of confusion in the town. They didn't know that's end of maybe the end of the war and this, whatever. So that too was a confusion. Even some people threw down their yellow star, going to be free now. At that time, Papa was able to escape Anu from the prison.
During this.
Yeah,
So
and
he
that
was
it was very geschickt, and I wish to have.
I mean,
him.
also
Yeah.
to be able to have that intuition.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's-
yeah.
Like there's an opportunity to
Yeah.
seize the.
Seize
Yeah.
the moment.
Yeah.
And then he got papers from Wallenberg.
And what was his connection with her? Because not many people were
Connection with what?
How did he find the Wallenberg?
whoever, word of mouth,
Yeah.
and who were able to get to him, because it was, to meet him, it was lines and lines of people. But
Somehow he managed-
Mazel and the Eibishter,
Everything.
he got
Everything,
paper,
every minute.
and Wallenberg had also not just paper, a pretend that this and this person is under the protection of the Swedish government, and they appointed houses also.
He expanded his jurisdiction or his
Yeah,
immunity.
this,
The immunity already.
Appointed houses and put a big emblem on it, Swedish emblem, that this house is being protected from the Swedish government. And I think, I'm sure, that also a miracle from Hashem that they accepted that for a while. This will show you.
Right.
I mean, accept, they are Jews, right? You know, Jews, that they accept. But end of the war, or the end of, they couldn't care less, this Hungarian Nazis. They became ruthless and they killed, they barged, they barged
They were very happy to collaborate.
So they were, even after the Germans were done, they were.
They were the one who took these groups to the Danube and killed them.
Right.
They barged in not far from us, it was a Jewish nursing home. They killed everybody there. Patient, doctors, everybody in the
Do you
nursing home.
remember as a kid even seeing any?
No,
any-
killing.
any
Only
sort of-
when they took us to the ghetto. So I'm coming to it. We were in this Wallenberg house for a while, and it was already end of December. One day came in, 5 minutes, everybody should be down. Now we had to down, bitter cold, and the bombing was heavy. They were
Who's
bombing.
the Germans?
The Germans with the
Germans are probably out
Russia,
of the-
Russia, yeah.
Was the Germans or the
The
Miloš? or the-
Hungarian, no, the
Yeah,
Hungarian.
the Miloš,
The Hungarian. And took us to the ghetto. Then it was already the ghetto. Took us through the whole city, walking. Then somebody stepped out, wasn't in the road, they killed him right there, shot him right away.
If they
As we
made
were
them walk in a
walking.
row.
So that's where you saw.
Yeah, and before we entered the ghetto, we passed by a park. You know, park, the statue,
Sure.
statue. On the statues, there's a few Jewish bodies hanging there, bodies, with a big a sign on front of them. This is how you're gonna look like when you escape the ghetto.
Wow.
This was the Baruch Haba to the ghetto. So they took us to the ghetto. Everybody's in the basement, crowded, wooden planks on the floor. That was the table and the chair, bed, everything. Cold, dark, dirty, crowded. Mika Amcho Yisrael, somehow they scraped together. They made a soup kitchen. We got a little soup every day and bread. There for a few weeks. We got full of lice.
In the ghetto.
Yeah, ghetto, not just hair.
You remember itching.
Yeah.
It was in the
And
clothes, it was in-
not they had our clothing got full of
Wow.
and that's when I think 3 weeks later when Ziggy was born.
And that's where he was. That's where the story was saying.
The next basement was called the hospital. The difference of the place where we were, the hospital was, in a hospital there were some dirty mattresses on the floor. Anya had a baby there. Anya was telling that there was another Kimpetorn who was laying, had her baby, and she got a little pail of water. She washed her baby and then pushed over the water to Anu, and Anu washed her baby
Wow.
and wrapped him up.
Do you remember it being very crowded or
Oh, sure, and hungry.
no food?
Hungry and cold. That the whole through the Holocaust, we weren't fed well, but we were never hungry. Bread.
Wherever you were.
We always had bread and whatever, not chickens or whatever. But then we were really hungry.
In the
And
ghetto.
then
That's
one
where you
day,
remember that.
yeah. And then
How long was that for in the ghetto?
Ghetto.
And you were all together there, right?
The Ziggy was after. The Ziggy was born, I think, 4 days later. We were liberated from the Russians.
From the Russians.
Yeah, we came out
Do you
from
remember that house?
Sure. We came out from the basement. Broken houses, bombed down houses, and the streets are full of dead bodies. Bodies. Many of them had signs on of this I am, that's my name, because they had to go out on the street and they wanted to be sure somebody should know who they are. It was a
Jewish?
yeah, sure, they're all Jewish in the ghetto. So I came out from the basement, from the ghetto. Somebody find kind of a grocery cart. We put Anu and a baby in it, and we start pushing her home. Our house was maybe 3 miles.
This is right after liberation.
Well, yeah, right.
Within days.
Yeah. Right, we went home.
With the baby.
Yeah, we went with the baby. And we were lucky because our house was intact.
Nobody ran
Even
nobody.
there were some people going there who ran away. They got scared from the Russians. But even some furniture was there, but not even a schmatte or something.
Do you remember that, like opening the door and coming back to?
Yeah, and how. Yeah, Anya with the baby.
Did your father ever go back to the house through the entire?
What?
While he was like.
No.
So he stayed. He was in hiding.
Sure. Busy hiding and taking care of us.
And your uncle Khalid is also this whole story.
No, he was also in prison for a while.
But did he have the same?
Yeah. So, Apu got sick. Apu got typhus.
Right.
When we were liberated, was terribly sick.
He was bedridden.
Yeah, and then till then, as I said, we were never starved except in the ghetto. But then, after the food disappeared, that was after liberation, we were free. But the Germans weren't there anymore. But was absolutely no food to be had. No, except for the Russian soldiers, some bread here and there, something. And they decided, because the food you got, whatever it was, the city was used up, and it was intense war all over, so the farmers weren't able to bring in the produce.
The supply chain was broken down.
So then heard that the cattle car train is going down to the country, and they know that they have a sister who lived there in the country. We traveled there. Took us 3 days. 3 days, and
a town called Niretas.
So then we moved into her house. Of course, it was empty. That time we didn't even know where those people went. Nobody knew.
Oh, you went to your aunt's house? You said?
Aunt's house in the country. They took them away.
But you didn't know.
No.
So you were like, let's go see if there's food there.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Then we had food.
So there was food.
Yeah, because the farmers, they had plenty of food.
Which aunt was this from? Which?
Apus, one of Apu's sister. Yeah.
And that family didn't survive. Apu's sister.
None of
What
them.
was her name?
No. She was a Frankfurter. Her name
last name?
Esther. Her name, Yiddish name was Esther.
And
Ella.
and her husband's name was Frankfurter.
Yeah.
No kids, none of that. Whole family's gone.
Even then, nobody knew what happened to them.
At that point.
Nobody knew. And then became Pesach was already better. And after beginning of the summer, when already some part of Germany was liberated, they started coming back from camp. Then they learned from the camp, who came back from what happened there.
Did you have any family that survived in the camps that came back? Do you remember anybody?
A cousin. No, that's what, a first cousin.
And also there was, she lived in London afterwards. She was, Edith, her mother was a Gestetner. What was her family name before the... Her mother was a Gestetner, Edith. She lived in London. I knew her very well. She'd gone because she told me always that
Any-
Oppo invited her. Any relative that came back, and even not relatives, but the relatives that came
Well,
back
they were-
and had
they-
nowhere to go, Oppo invited them. You can stay here. You're like my child. Don't. And
So you
this
remember
this
these
cousin,
places?
this cousin lived in London, and she
And they
told me.
was telling
told my
us
father,
the stories. Everybody, how did you survive? And they heard all the horrible stories.
So that's even when your father went to that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
yes. Somebody came to tell Anyu. Anyu had a younger sister, that's 3 little children. She was a healthy-looking woman. Yes, you know, I saw your sister. She was separated a few times from Mangala, and she always sneaked back to her children, which happened very often.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they separated, you know, this strong woman
Mm-hmm.
from the children, and that she should work for work. And
Did
they
she survive this
sneak back
They
to her
no.
children.
Did she survive this?
No.
Didn't survive.
She might have had a chance
yeah.
that she stayed,
But
because
they
what they
still
did,
wanted
they,
the
when the
children.
selection, when they came to Auschwitz, there was a selection. So Mengele, Yamach Shimon V'Zichron, he would say, like, children are useless to me. They went straight away to the left to be killed. So sometimes mother said, I'm not separating my children. They went straight to the gas chamber. So she also was separated, and I know him. He has some relationship with the Gestetners. So he tells me, he's about 95 now, and he always tells me he came to the camps. He was about 13 or 14, and they said to him, say you're 16, make yourself tall. He's not a tall guy. Make yourself tall, and when they ask you, how old are you, 16? Because 16-year-olds, you're working, go, you know,
Right,
be one of the
you're
workers.
useful.
You're useful. So the ones who are useless, they right away. Old people went right, straight away to the left. Okay, took us in. Right, now, go. And this mother, obviously, she wanted to be with her children. She kept going, and then she
Like
never.
many of them.
Well, your
Like
your
many.
mother had Anu had a brother that
Yeah,
survived.
Yes.
yeah.
And they lived after.
And
And he
they
lost a
survived.
wife and
Yeah.
children.
Oh, he lost wife.
He lost a wife and children. Then he
Yeah.
survived. He
Yeah.
went to Israel and got remarried.
Yeah. And who came back mostly? Mostly came back men, let's say 30s, 40s, whose wife was left there. They got killed. And many young girls. The young girls, 18, 20. And they started, everybody was lonely. They wanted to continue life. And many 20-year-old, 18-year-old girls married, 40-year-old men, and
To
they
have a
met.
protector and
Then
to have a companion.
There was
and
no, I always tell the girls also, there was no question how long are they going to learn, you know. Nobody asked. Or what they're going to do, what kind of a jewelry they're going to
And who's going to pay for the chasana?
Yeah. That's how it was. Somebody find a chasana dress, could be a tall girl, a short girl, everybody wore the same thing.
Yeah,
They say,
some
well,
girls made
well,
themselves wedding dresses out of parachute material
uh,
and then passed it on to all the others.
we had almost every day we saw chasanas in the backyards, you know, not in the halls, whatever. Not with party planners either.
And color schemes.
Chasanas, you know.
So
And those couples, they were very happy, you know, because Hashem created people that they want to live, they want to continue living. They got rebels and old ones and young ones, and they made the best of it. And what I heard, I read not long ago, that those marriages where the husband was afterward marriage, where the husband was much older, the men lived much longer than the average.
So when you came back after the war, like life was restarted, like from like your father opened up the factory again.
Absolutely, yeah.
Back to school.
Well,
Back to school.
it was no school. No
School is done.
My-
And the other neighbors, the cousins, whoever lived around there.
Yeah. Then after everybody would be surprised. A year and a half after we were liberated, seemed like nothing, almost nothing happened. business picked up. People got, you know, whoever.
Usually after wars, actually, there's a lot of
you know,
growth.
new styles. Everybody was dressing. They weren't even thinking. Nobody was thinking of some people to go away for Hungary. Why? Hitler is not here anymore. We are home. We are doing well. So why should we go away?
So your father had no intention of leaving it?
He was middle of building a second factory.
Really?
Yes, in 1947. Okay.
So he was doing well. He did well better after.
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Than he did
Did
before.
very, yeah.
And his brother
But
Carl,
then,
same.
no.
Mm.
And but then the Russians stayed there, and in '48 they made communist everything. So they took away. You can't own anything. You
took
can't
your
own
property,
then and also in between, Apu, because of the taxes and everything, he didn't feel like giving them all the taxes what they wanted. But right?
I know where that gene comes from.
What?
Yeah.
So they find that everything, Apu had to run away, and we followed him.
So that's when he left Hungary.
And then after it, first we got to Belgium, because he couldn't get visas.
Was
you
he
know.
managed? Was it sudden that you picked up and left?
Very.
He
You were already born.
he gathered before, the day before, you know, he has to sneak away. He gathered all the cash what he was able.
Liquidated, whatever.
Put it into,
whatever he was able to
put
do.
able, that's also another thing. Put it into his attaché case, and somebody sneaked him over the border. Now, could you imagine a father, like my father, took all the money what he had, and leaving his family behind. He arranged for us false paper that we should follow him.
Mm-hmm.
And he sneaked to be
Yes,
sneaked. No,
yes, the communists didn't want to let us go. They
Right.
wanted everybody to stay
to,
and work for them.
to sneak away, to sneak through the border, which border is safe that you sneak away, or your children, leaving your family there without anything, and maybe he would be chas v'sholem, whatever, right? That's how to go. Leave your family, I could imagine.
Did he do this
Because
with
he had
his-
no
did he do this with
choice.
his brother,
If
or
he
did
would,
do it-
what?
Did he do it with his brother Kalev or
The
alone?
brother,
brother
because he had a car accident.
At that point he was already.
Yeah.
Not
So was
Yeah.
he taking care of his?
Yeah.
So
two
your
families.
cousins and your aunt
Yeah,
were in
yeah,
this whole story together.
Yeah. Could you imagine? Huh?
Wow. And he's taking care of two families that he was
Yeah,
doing this thing.
Umba. He had no choice.
Right.
He had no choice.
And then you somehow it worked. The
Then-
papers
Yeah,
worked. You got it.
Yeah.
Anya was going to pick up the children from school.
Yeah.
And when she was walking home, somebody told her, don't go near your house because they're searching your house.
Yeah.
So they'd come and they search.
They
Yeah,
left with
search,
the
and
clothing.
if you wanted to keep your own business, you were shot. It was not like, maybe don't keep your own, or cash registers ours, please move somewhere else. You wanted to keep your own. So Anya was told, don't go home. She says she picked up all the children from school and she took a taxi or a driver, take me out of the country.
And
she comes to the
he
border.
arranged for us false passport
I know,
before Apu sneaked away.
Yeah. And Anya
Yes,
comes to the border. Anya told me this herself. Comes to the border with 8 kids, takes out her handbag these passports. Some of them were expired. He says, Madam, this is stimmt nicht. She pulled herself to full height and she says, and what do you think you are going to gain by keeping me and 8 little rotsy-nosed kids here? And he looked at us, go. I think everybody did dream of going to America, no? I think the dream for everyone was,
Yeah. And whoever is in Antwerp now and Vienna, whatever, nobody wanted to really stay there forever. Everybody was only temporary. But they had a baby and a business and it's all as things got better, they just got stuck there. but nobody wanted to stay there permanently.
So they went from
Everyone-
Belgium. You
Bad-
spent some
bad.
time in Belgium.
18 months.
And we applied, you couldn't go there. It wasn't open borders like now, you know. Anybody can come. It took a long while. And because we applied for the American visas, but they had to
But
be-
Belgium somehow let people in. We got into Belgium easily. I know that a lot of refugees arrived to Belgium at that time.
we
A lot.
couldn't.
I think
up here we couldn't.
there. I think
Big,
in Belgium.
big
there's-
families and
Yeah,
who is
yeah.
going to be the sponsor, what they're going to do, you know, they were wanted to be very careful. So we couldn't get the visas. Only if you go to Germany, like you were there from the DP camps. So we traveled there, we were in the DP camps also.
You stayed in a DP camp?
We were in the DP camps for a year or so, yes. Yes.
And
They
as I was-
packages,
yeah.
got the 2 rooms in those military barracks, okay? Or live there and cook there or whatever.
And I was born in 46. So when they were making the papers, it was very easy to stick me in as I was born in Germany. To this day, my passport says I'm born in Germany.
You were born in Germany?
No, I was born in Hungary,
Oh, okay.
but they, as they were making the papers and everything,
right.
not everything was
Whatever needed to be
100%.
said.
Yeah.
No,
So,
of course not.
so on my passport, they said, okay, and people who had babies in the DP camps got priority. You know, they had to do something. You know, just like now, we don't want so many refugees coming to countries. We have problems now with the refugees in England coming from Africa and everywhere. We don't want them all. Why? Because they're a burden on the state. So America said, what are we going to do with these thousands of penniless Jews that are coming here? They didn't have a crystal ball to see what was going to be. So they had to have something in the system to say, how are we prioritizing? So people who had babies in the DP camps got priority. You know, they got pushed up in the pecking order.
Well,
So on my
So that you
passport.
helped them.
So yeah. So at least I was.
You really took it
That
out.
was the only time I was of any help.
so, but your father tried getting into the States, right? That was
Yeah.
his,
Yeah.
he tried going to the United States, not to Canada first.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But he wasn't able to in Canada.
No.
So from Belgium straight to Canada by boat, right?
Yeah, but Germany.
Germany, DP camp.
Yeah.
And my cousins, my aunt and my cousins did get the American papers.
So they did.
They did.
So
They
he,
went
but he
to.
got it for them probably, right?
Yeah, whatever. There was some technical problem. I don't really know exactly what, because we were supposed to get the papers, then we failed. Somebody said we were mastered on us, whatever. And I don't know exactly the technical, but it happened is that my aunt and my cousins went to New York, and we went, and my father was very heartbroken about it, because he wanted to take care of them.
Right.
He wanted to. Was very heartbroken that he got separated from his nieces and nephews, who adored him and he adored them.
And he was there.
Yeah.
There. And then you came to Canada.
Yeah.
And my grandmother was telling me that when you guys got off the boat, it was like
Yeah.
a blank sheet of paper. No, nothing there, right? They didn't know
Yeah,
who to go to.
absolutely.
Yeah. No.
Do you remember that when you
No,
came
that-
over?
Very much so. It was a Sunday afternoon when we arrived to the port, and it was a beautiful weather, and some people go, you know, just as an outing, you know, watch out there.
This is the summer.
Well, yeah, June, we arrived,
Well,
June, yeah.
We must have
Yeah.
arrived.
Yeah,
We must have
June.
arrived.
It was
Must
June.
have arrived end of May,
Yeah.
June, because Israel was born 5-6 weeks later. He's born in July.
Weather, and some people were there sightseeing, and a very nice, good-looking family was there, Jewish, not
At the port.
not from at the port. Yeah, with the daughter and the son-in-law, and they were looking, and they saw us coming down. We didn't look like refugees, huh? Even the daughter complimented me, you know, that I'm not dressed like, you know, like
Yeah.
like a European.
P.S. We were on the boat first class.
But it was just
What?
yeah,
Yeah.
Did you couch for the kitchen?
What happened?
Not
How did we
kasher,
have?
but just some potato, whatever, nothing.
Didn't Oppa bring some like smoked meats and you went down to?
No,
to be-
no, not with, no.
But we have a
Sweet
picture.
potato.
Do you ever see
The
the
first time we ate the
Everyone
sweet
has it.
potato, yeah.
Do you remember that boat ride as like a pleasant, it's like a
Yeah.
I
Definitely.
was 4.5. I remember it very
Yeah.
clearly.
Yeah,
so it was a happy
yeah.
What?
I
Yeah.
remember what your
Yeah.
father
Yeah, yeah.
There's
So it was 2 weeks, how long did it take to get
I think a week. No, more than a week.
Shami would remember, I don't remember.
Nowadays it's 5 days.
Anyway,
Montreal or in a different
to arrive
yeah.
to Montreal.
Montreal.
To
Were there other
Montreal.
Jews on the boat that came
From
with you? Other Jewish food? Other Jews? You don't remember?
No, no.
There wasn't anybody.
No.
Minion, you don't
No. Anyway, so this family, and Apu was very prominent looking, and they came over to us, started talking, and just we need anything, you know, and after they called Apu, that they were offering that some business on what they can do. Apu said a few days later, I don't want to be friends with them. They are not from. I don't want there should be an influence on the children and on me. So even the
He's very
Yeah.
weary
Yeah.
as he came.
P.S.
he would
can I-
need help, you know. There was no parnosa then yet, but you had to think of parnosa. Would be
and we were the
opportunity,
lucky
no.
ones because
They
Oppa
cannot
came with
from-
some money.
Right, yeah. that-
Most refugees came, they did not have from what to buy a
P.S.
slice of bread.
P.S.
My
in-
grandfather told me they
but-
came with a couple $100,000.
But no,
Not
but
counting
I-
on
well,
what is
yeah.
compared today.
Right, with
Probably,
the-
I
But
think,
one second, in Belgium and Germany, they did a very good business, Apu.
So the entire process,
Yeah.
he's handling, he's making money.
Yeah. Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah.
so he didn't come, we didn't go there penniless.
You weren't destitute.
No.
Never.
So the war was like a pause button in your life.
Yeah.
And then we,
But also, but we were never penniless, not even during the war. All these things costed money.
right, he was always
Yeah,
paying
no,
people
yeah,
off.
Wait,
yeah.
Anya told me she was once taken in, was it to a lager or somewhere, and Oppa bought her out. And one of
Yeah.
the biggest Rishoim came
Yeah.
to pick her up.
Yeah.
He said, I want to see the woman for whom a man is prepared to pay so much.
Yeah,
He said he came
that-
to
that-
take her out
Yeah,
personally.
it was, you know, whoever stayed alive, not because they had money and not because they had a good place, because this is a Champlain.
Maybe in your story, there's a million instances you said where you're
Total siyata d'shmaya.
by fractions of seconds. You're
Yeah.
So total siyata d'shmaya. It's like,
And then in Canada, you didn't even have an apartment, nothing. There was no.
no.
First, no.
Like he didn't.
First
like,
we went into a hotel,
Uh,
remember?
so you checked in. The
yeah,
first thing you checked
yeah.
into the hotel.
At the
Yeah,
hotel.
yeah.
And, near the ports, the hotels are not,
Downtown.
never, downtown, no,
Nice tourist.
not
places.
exactly,
Not the finest.
yeah, no, not very,
It wasn't the Ritz on the.
right. No, I'm not talking about physically, but the goings on the hotel. So we wanted to move from there very quickly, and we rented somebody's.
rented
They
a-
call it 2 rooms in their house. They called it a double parlor, living room, dining room together. Was used to be called a double parlor. We rented one of those, and we had mattresses on the floor.
Yeah.
And I remember what it looked like. We had to go up the stairs, like the houses
problem
on
with 8
Hutchison
children
was-
moving
yeah,
into
huh?
2 rooms.
One of
of
those
other-
houses. We
Yeah.
stayed there, and
Who sponsored, by the way? Who sponsored your family to Canada? Do you know?
Sponsored?
Nobody
Was it?
sponsored.
So were you a
Sponsored.
refugee?
No,
Yeah.
You
no.
applied and they came.
Yeah,
Wasn't it
yeah.
from-
we got our papers, and
Did you know that you didn't have family in Canada? There was nobody in Canada.
No,
It wasn't like you were coming to somebody.
No.
It was just out of Europe, North
No,
America.
totally.
Second choice.
Totally.
and then from this room that we rented. So my memory is, her father Mickey and I got scarlet fever, and in those days you were hospitalized was Mama Shamala, 2 kids out of your way. I'm telling you, we were taken to hospital, and Zsuzsa also got scarlet fever, and she went with, Bobby Nyman sent her Rochelle with, she said, I think
She also,
I said, Zsuzsa got as a bonus to have Rochelle with her. Rochelle was a little girl of maybe 2. And in the meantime, while we were, it was 4 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks, we had to be in hospital with scarlet fever, isolated. I remember Oppo coming to visit us. He only stood at the door. He couldn't come into the room, even to hug us or anything. And in the meantime, Israel was born. And in the meantime, Oppo rented our apartment on Ducharme. And of course, he was looking around to rent an apartment wherever. He said, how many children do you have? How many of the 9? Then he was speaking German.
We went to
Wie viele
welcome.
Kinder haben Sie? 9. No, haben Sie Kinder? 9.
9.
It's okay, you could have the apartment. So we moved into that apartment. So I
They
came
weren't too
home from
excited.
hospital.
They weren't too
He's
excited.
finished. He
to
learned
rent.
some English,
Get around.
He,
I would
he
be
learned
there.
English.
Show it on your
I
phone.
remember, no, I think he spoke better. I mean, it was only 3 years now, but 4 years. So I remember trying to teach him how to say the instead of, yeah. So in the meantime, he rented the apartment. I think you went to look at the apartment with him. You went with Oppo to look
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't like it. I know. Wasn't elegant enough for me even then.
and buy furniture and everything.
Was
Oh, you
dreaming
came
of
home to a
something
fully
elegant.
furnished apartment.
As
And the kid,
always.
you know,
You can take it out of the jeans.
sorry, and that's where we lived.
Ever
for-
since I was a little girl, I knew my brain, I always wanted to be dressed nicely and live in a beautiful house. That was all my life, ever since I remember.
Not such a
And
bad
then
thing.
he started a business right away.
He
right?
bought the
Yeah.
business. He bought the factory.
Yeah.
Bought a factory.
And he met people. He was ready.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And we knew a lot of people. There were a lot of Hungarians who had emigrated there. We knew
That you
people.
discovered. That you
But,
And
but
then-
they had nothing to do with Apple's business.
No.
people.
No, but I'm saying that Oppo knew, like the Unsdorfers, he knew. Rabbi Unsdorfer came from Ghetto.
Yeah.
He knew, he was in school with Onyu.
So they
You know
met
the
from
Unsdorfers, you must know the Unsdorfers from Montreal.
Yeah.
So the father was a school classmate of Onyu.
Oh wow.
So, you know, so he got involved in yeshiva and whatever, and he was there. And we arranged in the Y that on Friday afternoons the boys could go swimming, boys only swimming.
Yeah.
He was very, yes. He arranged, I think at a cheaper price. It was probably 5 cents instead of 10 cents or something, that the boys should have recreation.
Right. And there's boys only swimming in the Y till today. I mean, so
Yeah, I know, but he
That was probably the first step.
he arranged Friday afternoon after the boys finished Cheder, they went straight to the Y. That was one of his,
Okay.
yeah.
And then plus arriving to new country and
you were
Start-
in your teens. You were
start-
16,
so,
17.
this is what I'm coming to. I was 19
19.
and plus looking for apartment and new business had to marry me off also. So acquaintance who lived in Williamsburg knew my in-laws and they knew us from Hungary. So he got the idea for me to shadchan me to my husband. Huh? Of course, he said all the nice things about me. Obviously, they believed it. Huh? And first, my father-in-law came to Béchot, to Montreal.
To
You
me,
did a show?
Yeah, first my father-in-law
Right.
came
So
My
the
father.
show that they
to,
did
to,
there,
to,
the-
to, to
Yeah.
meet me.
Yeah.
He's always telling me the following, that if you're coming, we lived upstairs, I rang the bell, and up always wanted to show that I'm independent, I should go open the door for him. So I opened the door, and my father-in-law calls up, is Gestetner lives here? I said, yes, you are at the right place. Always said, he was at the right place. And then
They loved you.
prob-
Surprise,
and
surprise.
then, obviously, you know, he liked it. And then my husband came, and the rest is history.
They're Samar Chassidim, right?
Yeah.
They're Samar Chassidim then.
Yeah.
But
My-
Anchi Olav Sholem learned in Tarvadas.
Because
That was a
there's
reason.
Samar
That was a-
all the
Yeah,
Hungarians
yeah.
in Brooklyn.
They didn't they?
Was no
Yeah,
Satmar Chassid. Satmar Rebbe arrived to New York in
Somewhere in the 50s.
Feb-
I don't know what year.
when we were there before, because when I was there, they were there already.
Yeah? Oh, okay,
Sure.
so maybe he came also about in
In
late 40s.
in 48 or something, 48. And my husband Anshik became a Satmar Chassid instantly.
Oh, that's when he really.
Yeah, my in-laws weren't
They
Hasidish.
weren't?
No, we had a
They
bear,
were
my
like
father.
Your parents.
What?
Like your parents.
No, more, because my father had a bear and a black hat. Pudding had a black hat.
And Zaidi Matis
he was
Yaakov,
more, yeah.
he came as
Yeah.
a chassid. He wore a beaver hit, a velvet
But
flat hat,
my
and he stayed that way.
husband-
They came out in the 20s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And Anchi was born Hasidish. He didn't
He
become,
had it in the.
he was
DNA.
born Hasidish, right? Somebody said, those days, nobody got married, he didn't have a bear. Nobody had a bear those days, wasn't in. Then after, when, a couple of years ago, somebody said, he was a bearded man before his beard.
Three years after you built a family in Canada
Yeah.
and passed away at the Shabbos table. That was,
Yeah, that was something.
who was the youngest?
That
Then?
Adrian.
Israel was.
Israel, it was just before his 4th birthday.
You
Just before.
You were 8. You were 8. How old were
I
you?
was 8.5. I remember it as if it would have happened 5 minutes ago.
That,
After
That
the
scene
War, or-
we
never,
never
ever
recovered
left my
that,
mind. Never.
We never recovered. Whenever I think I talk about it,
And he was healthy.
And
cool,
yet-
extremely close.
Yeah.
Extremely well, just.
And yet, although we never stopped thinking or caring, we had a very happy home.
After.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Anu,
Anu, yeah.
she picked up where he left off.
She picked up she just carried on. There was like, there's
she
no,
managed the business, right?
yeah, she didn't manage the business. No.
Did she not work for it or not?
No. Lippi Olav Shom, our oldest Hindi his husband, he already had a business. They were living in New York.
Mhm.
And he was very comfortable. He had already
This is,
bought a house together
first
with the
cousin?
uncle. No, my brother-in-law,
Your brother-
the Hindi's, Hindi
your
lady's
bro-
husband.
okay. The
They
oldest-
already,
the oldest
him and his brother had bought a house in Borough Park already. It's 56 and 12th Street, I could show you the house. So he was comfortable and thing. And Oppo called him up one day and he said, Lipa, I'd like you to move to Montreal. Why? You never know, one day I might close my eyes. I don't want Anya to be here alone.
Really? So
18 months before.
2 months before.
18 months
18
before.
months. And he came and started
I
working
think
for
he
him.
said many times he didn't think he was going to live a long life.
Well,
I heard mentioned that Oppo used to say he didn't think he was going to
did his
live
parents
long.
die, like, particularly young? They didn't.
I don't know how, I really don't know how old
Yeah.
his parents were when they.
Yeah.
I have to tell another story, which
Very
we had a relative who lived in London, and he told me the story. Anya never told us the story. Well, right after the war, when we came back, like she said, there was no food. He lived out in somewhere outside, and he had food. He had a farm. He said he came with a little suitcase full of food, carrots, beans, onions, and things. He heard that we were there. We came back alive, and he brought it to my mother. Brought it on you here. I brought you food. It was like if I would tell you today I'm going to give you $1 billion, it couldn't have been so much because you had food.
They didn't know where it's coming from.
Yeah, yeah. And you took the whole lot, cooked it up in the biggest pot she had, made a soup, and she invited all the neighbors, all the people she knew, come and eat, we've got food. So he said to her, said, Gizzy, I brought you this food. I wanted you to have at least for a week. She said, I didn't know yesterday what I was going to eat today. And those children are just as hungry as my children.
Wow.
I'm not sitting down to eat
Wow.
when others don't have. That was on you.
Now, what would you say to the Eight O'Clock, the Or 8 O'Clock, the family? Any closing remarks for the next generation?
Hashem is very good to us. Huh? I'm here, and seeing this doll, my siblings doll. May Hashem bless them. And we should have nachas. They should have nachas. Nachas from their family. They should be able to continue bis Mashiach and more. Yeah.
And I would say that everything, all these stories are really siyata d'shmaya. And I think it's very important for our generations to realize what siyata d'shmaya is, and that every second of the day is part of our life.